record button.
I hit it.
Are we recording? Are we on?
Welcome to Pop Culture Yearbook. On this show, we pick pieces of pop culture that were important to us in a given year. We then discuss memories and dig into those movies, albums, shows, and more. I'm Brad.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Giff.
All right. Giff, I love how you say it along with me. It
I
really
love
helps
our
me
opening.
keep the cadence there.
That's right.
What if we surprise the audience and change it up once?
Well,
change the script.
I tried. I was hoping to have my daughter come on and read it tonight for
Oh,
Ladies'
that'd be-
Month, and she
amazing.
refused
to do it. She's 13, just wasn't quite.
She's too cool for this show.
No, she thought it was too scary.
Oh, because this is worldwide.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
So, and I thought she'd be a good little addition because tonight is my wife's choice and our second, well, I guess it's our third actually, edition of Ladies' Choice for the month.
Oh.
And my wife is not going to be on either,
Aw.
but she definitely got into it, and I think she'll be very excited to listen when we're all done.
Yeah, I hope so. I
What are
hope
we
we do
talking
her
about?
proud.
Yes, we will do our best. She really, really liked the episode with Danica. She thought it was maybe our best ever.
Mm-hmm.
She thought Danica did a great job, so
And she did.
she's starting to listen
Yes.
even more. I think season 2 is going to draw her in every week.
There you go.
If you can get your wife to listen, there's no limits to our potential.
Right. All right. So before we start, why don't we just put in a little plug for our supporters we have on our show? As you know, we've started our new website on the Buy Me a Coffee website, and we have some new supporters there, and we want to thank them again and invite anybody listening that you can join or donate or just be a follower at any time you want. I think you can actually go on that website and even just follow us and not even necessarily give, can't you?
I
So
believe so.
there's 3 ways
clarify.
to join: free, cheap, and a little more cheap.
Very expensive.
Debilitating. Yeah. Well,
But
and
we
just to
really
let our
appreciate
We are not
listeners-
running a Ponzi scheme. We are not running a Ponzi scheme.
Right.
No.
And just to let
It's
our
more of a
listeners know
Ponzi
that
scheme.
we do have our first extracurricular video on there.
Oh yes, Gifford, please go ahead and say that again. We put our first one up.
So we put our first extracurricular activity up, just a little about 10-minute video sesh with the three of us just
Oh.
talking.
Maybe we'll have another one tonight.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And so if you're a member on the Buy Me a Coffee site, you can go on and watch that and enjoy us even more. You'll get to see our lovely faces as well,
Mhm.
and just get a little bit more insight into the podcast. So
The brains behind this operation.
That's right.
Exactly.
And
What
actually, you
makes
don't
us
have to be a
tick?
member to watch that. It's anybody who's a supporter can
Sure,
access
right.
that as well. So
Mhm.
we are going to try to put content on there to make it at least somewhat worth your while, in addition to just the goodness of your heart. So
Yeah.
It will be worth your while.
become our classmate. You will be our classmate if you are part of the that particular site there.
Yes.
That particular site.
Oh boy.
And did we mention
Well spoken.
our newest supporter on the site? I know
Who's the
we've given a
newest supporter?
shout out to Brian.
Well, we already brought her up once.
Yep.
But yes,
Mhm.
so I don't know. Maybe she, was so excited after being a part of the show that she decided she wanted to be even more closely attached. So thank you, Danica, for supporting the show.
Yes.
It definitely made us all very excited.
That it did.
Yes, it did.
It did. I don't think you understand how excited we get when we see one of those come in because,
It's
you don't expect it. It's just awesome.
it's pretty exciting.
It is.
All right. You ready to get going on this one?
Yeah. What are we talking about this week?
All right, so my wife went through many ideas when she picked this topic. I was 100% sure she was going to pick the topic that we're going to discuss next week, which is the new kids. We've already given this away, so we're not spoiling anything. She actually did not pick the new kids on the block, which worked out wonderfully because, Pete, your wife Jenny picked them.
She
And
sure
as
did.
And we ended up with a music, a TV, and a movie choice. And I mean, how perfect was that? So her choice came from the realm of television, and she picked the show Sex and the City.
A great episode. For having your daughter on. That would have been a little inappropriate.
Oh, well, I was just
The
going to have her
13-year-old
intro
daughter?
it and then go away. So she was never going to
okay.
stick around.
And then go away. Get out of here.
Yeah,
Well,
we're done with you now.
Do not listen.
So
Earmuffs.
this show has kind of enjoyed a new revival here because
Yes.
there was just a reboot season that just came out on HBO. And so she, of course, watched that. And I think that's a big reason why she picked it, because it really brought back all those memories of how much she loved watching it when it first came out.
Mhm.
So she loves the show. She actually asked for the complete series for Christmas this year, and that's what I got her for her gift. And she's currently watching it again. I'm not sure what season she's in, but she is watching it again and just loving it all the way through. Had you guys watched any of this before?
Yes.
No.
You
not
had. I
really.
had seen some with her. I mean, I'm familiar with the show enough. Not that I watched it all, but it was a show that I knew,
Well,
what was
and
going on and everything.
I was trying to think back because I remember binging it. So my guess is we got it on Netflix through the
The
mail.
discs, yes.
And because back then, I know we had HBO on and off.
In fact, that is how Kim watched it, was on Netflix discs.
Right. But I remember binging it. So back then there was no on demand. You could watch it each week when it came out. So that is what I believe I did. So I'd watched maybe the first couple seasons. In preparation for this episode, I started watching the first season again just to get a refresher and see how it all started before jumping forward to watch the episodes for this particular podcast.
See, now, Jenny has watched the entire series.
Okay.
I may have caught an episode here and there, but I never had really gotten into it or really remembered. I knew what it was and what it was all about and everything, but never got into it. But she would watch it with her coworkers over their lunch hours. She's a hygienist, and it was just like something that they threw in a DVD while they were having lunch in a break room, and that was what they did. They made it all the way through the whole series doing it that way. So
That sounds lovely.
in preparation for this episode, we did watch the episodes that were assigned. We watched the first episode of the whole series, and then we also watched the first episode of the new series as well.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't watch that. Any
Well,
of
you
that.
guys
Okay.
are really going to come heavy tonight with the information.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what we're gonna do.
Oh boy.
All
All right, back to why she picked this episode.
I guess we will. Okay, it is
Ah.
going to be a fun episode.
One of the things that she said is that, and if you know Kim, you won't be surprised. I mean, these women are like her polar opposite in many ways. They're, they're very outgoing and obviously very loud and brash, and many of them anyway.
Mhm.
But it's one of those things where she loves that, though, because you live vicariously through it, through fiction, and same thing with lots of other things that I would watch too. So even though it's not like her, it still makes her happy. And even though she's not a lot like them, she said it does remind her of her and her friends, and so it's very relatable
Mhm.
in
Yep.
that way as well. So even though they're not the same as her, she can still relate, and that works really well. And I talk about that at school all the time with my kids, about how the character may not be like you, but you got to make those connections. And that's what she did.
Great teacher you are.
I know.
Yes.
So in these episodes, we have Ron Livingston, and and that's part of the reason why she picked it. So she said that this kind of reminds her of a female version of the movie Swingers, which she knows is one of my all-time favorite movies. And in these episodes, Ron Livingston appears, and so that's kind of one of the reasons why she picked it, because she thought I would like it. She also thought these were really memorable and funny episodes that she thought of right away. So as I said, she considered New Kids on the Block. The other big one that I think maybe she kind of forgot about at the time, and definitely could have picked, would have been anything from the Twilight series, because that is her other obsession that has gone on for many years, and even bigger. And now that we have kids, and they are both into it too, so she's been able to go back into that, and so she loves that. But that is not what she picked. Actually, what she said, instead of New Kids or that, she picked this because she thought it would be classier.
Ah. Well,
Right.
let's think about that. We got Billy Madison, Freaks and Geeks, and New Kids. Yeah, this is probably on the classier
All right.
side.
All right. So
four.
the episodes that she picked are from season 6, actually. So they are from far into the series. That is when Ron Livingston was on. But those are the ones she remembered, and so we're going to go there. So you guys watched some early ones. That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to jump way ahead. All right. So in the cast, you have your 4 main women, and she gave me a little rundown on them. I also wrote down, I was just curious when this started. I wrote down their ages because I was trying to figure out like where they would be in their like their real ages.
Yep.
So Sarah Jessica Parker, she's our main one, and she was 38 years old at this time. And the description I got is that she is somebody who really wants a relationship, but she's not obsessed with it.
Yes.
Like she can get over guys, but she does have Mr. Big, who she loves, and nobody else can measure up to him. And so she's just kind of spinning her wheels with these other guys because she knows who she wants to be with. And she does end up with him eventually, I've learned. So,
Well, if you watch the new series, you'll that is addressed, and let's just say something very important happens in the first episode, which I don't want to give away any spoilers.
Talking about.
But something very important happens in that episode.
Yes.
All I'm going to say.
All right, so she is she's Samantha. Did you have anything? No, she's not.
No, she's Carrie.
Carrie, god dang it. She's Carrie. Did you two have any like comments about the women as we go through them you want to make?
No, I think you're pretty spot on. I mean, she's always looking for a relationship, romance, I guess, but kids never really seem to be a big factor for her. Once in a while, she'll think about it. I know one of the early episodes I watched, she was with Mr. Big, and he mentioned that he was married once and never wanted to have kids. So that sparked something in her, basically, that if she's going to be with him, she's not going to have kids. But throughout the series, it doesn't seem like it's a very big thing for her. But romance is on her list.
And she is a romance sex columnist.
Correct.
Right. So, I mean, that's what she's all about with her job every day, too. All right. Samantha is Kim Cattrall. Correct?
Is it
yes.
Cattrall? I always say Cattrall, but it is.
I say Cattrall.
Oh, well,
but it's spelled Cattrall.
And she is 47. She is the more of the cougar of the group, a little older than the others. So she's a publicist, and she's the wild one who just basically wants to have sex all the time and is not interested in any kind of a relationship at all.
Yes.
That's what we got with her.
I would say for her, she seems to be going about things where she will be the happiest because she's not always being.
Nothing bugs her.
Right. She's not chasing anybody. She's not disappointed when she doesn't get somebody because she'll just go on to the next guy. She's career driven and goes after what she likes, so kind of carefree and, just likes going out and doing her thing.
Anything to add on that, Pete?
You could see why we all would want to live vicariously through her then, right?
Yes.
Seems like the way to go.
Side note, Gifford, have you watched How I Met Your Father at all yet on Hulu?
I have not.
Okay, because she plays the Bob Saget character.
Oh, really?
So I've been watching that, and she's in it. So it's the reverse of How I Met Your Mother. Obviously that is, but in those scenes you see her talking and not the kids she's talking to. Instead of
really
in How I Met Your Mother, you see the kids and you just hear his voice.
Right.
So they flip that around. So that's how you know it's Kim Cattrall, because it's just.
How do you like it so far?
It's okay. I mean, it's nothing, nowhere near the original, but it's fun. I mean, it's fine. I don't care much for her scenes. I think that they are kind of lame when she's talking to her kid. I'm I'm not sure how I feel about the whole cast yet. They're okay. They're not growing on me as much as the other ones did, but it's fine.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it for now. All right, then we have Kristen Davis, who we've discussed in Seinfeld fame from recently.
Yes.
So she was also 38 years old.
Wait.
And she is the one who does want the traditional marriage and kids and is basically always looking for that. So that's what
Hold
her...
on, Seinfeld or Friends?
Well, she was on both.
Both.
Was she
But I
on
don't know.
Seinfeld?
We brought her up
Yep.
one time.
We were texting
yeah,
back
I
and
thought-
forth.
She's the one who, when Jerry dropped the toothbrush in the toilet, it was hers.
Yep.
And then she went in and
Oh,
put his
really?
toilet brush in the toilet and locked him out of the room. And
Yep.
he couldn't be with her because he didn't know.
Oh,
what
that's
she
right.
did.
Yep.
Okay.
And then in Friends, she was the one that Joey wanted Rachel to break up with, or just tell her to leave. He had a one-night stand with her, and she's in the shower and he's got to go.
And then she turned the tables on him because
Well,
then
Rachel
he was
loves-
following. Yeah, he was falling
Rachel
in love
ends
with her.
up really liking her, and she spends like the day with Rachel and Phoebe, and they just have such a great time. And
And
Joey's
he
not real
decided he
happy.
liked her too. And then she said that she didn't want him anymore.
right,
Yep. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
And
she's the best.
she is Charlotte, right? Charlotte is
she's
her
Charlotte.
name?
Charlotte
Correct.
York.
I didn't write down their names for some reason. I wrote down the real names.
Oh,
She
All right,
is,
and
in
then-
my opinion, the most attractive of the group. By the way.
yes. Get in line, buddy.
Okay.
The fourth one then is Cynthia Nixon, and
Mhm.
she is 37, so she's actually the youngest, which I guess I didn't really realize until I looked it up. She is your career-driven one. She is a successful lawyer.
Yep.
In these episodes, she has a baby now. She got pregnant by accident, and now there's a baby. And in these episodes, the father is not around, and Kim could not totally remember that, but she thinks she does end up with him, but he was nowhere to be seen in these episodes, and she was
No.
kind of single mother at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
All right. Anything you want to add to our cast of characters?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. Mr.
Well,
Big does make his first appearance in the very first episode, so he's
Okay, I was
an
going to
ongoing.
mention
Yeah.
there's four guys now too. So Ron Livingston, we mentioned, he
Yep.
is a Carrie's love interest at this time.
Yep.
And
Why
then,
did on him though for a second?
I know what you're going to say, and it's my first note when he came on the show.
Well, no, it's not what I'm going to say. I mean, I'm
No,
just
it
going to
is.
say, why isn't Ron Livingston a bigger star than he? I mean,
That's
he's
exactly
fantastic.
what I was going to say.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yes.
I never would have thought you would have said that. But yeah, okay, well, that was my point. He is so great in what he is in, not only in Swingers but Office Space. He's the main character there.
And that's a cult classic that is beloved by so many people.
Yep.
Exactly. And then this, and I don't know, is he in?
Well, Gifford
anything
says
else?
he's in Band of Brothers, which we
Band of
haven't
Brothers.
seen, so
Yep. He's one of the
Okay.
two. Well, yeah, he's one of the main guys in Band of Brothers as well.
Such a
So, yes,
great,
I agree,
awesome,
Pete.
funny, likable guy.
you wonder how that happens with people, and they just hit and miss. So Mr. Big makes a little phone call appearance here, and he is Chris Noth, and he's a familiar-looking actor.
Law and Order.
Law and Order. There you
Yep.
go. Yep. We have Harry, who is Charlotte's boyfriend at the time, and he looked really familiar to me, but I could not really look it up and place where I think I know him from. But
Have you ever watched the show Californication? with
like
David-
3 episodes. On
He's
your
David
recommendation.
Duchovny's like right-hand man, best friend
Mhm.
Like
on-
right at the beginning.
throughout the entire series.
Okay. Well, I've only watched like 3 episodes, but maybe
Oh.
I did see him there.
Yeah, that's what I know him from.
And then we have, I didn't write his name down, but the absolute hunk guy who is Kim Cattrall's current
Oh, right.
boy toy. And he's a
Hmm.
young, hunky guy who's doing ads for Absolute Vodka, basically naked. And so he's a male model.
I thought that was Gifford.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. I appreciate that. I used to look like that. This episode came out in 2003. So, yeah, back then, that's what I looked like.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
All right, so speaking of this episode, so the episodes that we watched were season 6, episodes 6 and 7. So they were very close to the end of the first run of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go into that. So I've already kind of mentioned a couple of things, I guess. I asked why hasn't Ron Livingston been in more stuff?
Right.
And I brought up the Miranda and her baby, and what I had to say about that. So the first scene that I really wrote down anything was there is the dinner with Carrie and I guess I don't have Ron Livingston's name
Jack
down.
Berger.
Oh yeah, Berger. So Carrie and Berger are having dinner, and Charlotte is there, and she joins them, and it's a very awkward dinner, and she has to get up and leave because they're in the midst of kind of a fight.
Yes.
A tiff. A little bit of a tiff.
A little tiff. And then that extends into a cab ride, and they kind of go their separate ways, although it's not really clear, are like exactly what they are going to do. But I wrote down, I just thought those were really good scenes. I thought they really captured awkward fights very well, and how tension-filled they were, and how there was kind of this lack of talking. And I could relate to that a little bit too much, I thought, as I was watching those scenes.
And at the moment, Kim is living vicariously through her, right?
Correct.
So one of the
yes.
other things in this episode is, and I thought one of the funner parts of it was that Carrie is on jury duty. So
right.
She has to go in for jury duty. And there's a particular gentleman that's also on jury duty, and he has odd fruit, I guess, in his briefcase, which I thought was a fun little thing. Like in one scene, he has a mango, but it's not like cut up and ready to eat. It's just a full mango. So I don't know how you would do anything with that. And then later in the episode, he has a coconut, and Carrie's just fascination with why would you have that in your briefcase? Like, what are you going to do with a coconut?
Yes.
So
that reminds me of I'm not sure what it feels like, something you'd see on Friends or something, where a weird character, or Seinfeld, where a weird character would come in, like on the subway. They always run into these weird people, and just this odd behavior is happening, and you don't know what to say.
Right. Also in this episode, Charlotte once again is out. She is joined a synagogue sisterhood. So she has the older women in this organization, of course, are trying to set her up with their son. So she's going out on blind dates.
Oh, yes.
Which, always that's seems to be one of the mainstays of the show, is the awkward dates and situations that these women get into.
Well, right. That's what it's all about. So
right. And I believe, isn't that why she joins Carrie and Jack for dinner, because she's on one of those blind dates and she's got to get out of it?
And she had to leave that one.
Yeah, so she has Carrie call her and say that there's some emergency so she can get out of there.
Nailed it. And then she goes to her friend, and then it's even more awkward there, and she still has to leave. So
right.
We have we meet, so the absolute hunk, we have a scene where he's got his photo shoot, and we meet him and learn that he's with what's her name? Samantha.
Yep.
And he's a little frustrated that he's not going anywhere, but then they go to this bar and all these guys are into him. And I liked her line about how first you get the gays and then you get the girls.
And then Hollywood comes calling.
Yeah, so so she was keeping him on track there, that this is a good thing. And so, but the gay guys loved him, and that's where you got to start, apparently.
Again, isn't that what worked for you, Gifford?
Yes. Well, that's how I think this podcast is going to take off. we need to get the gays, then we get the girls, and then sponsors will come calling. Because don't we find out at the end, because at the end of the episode, there's a group of school girls on the street, and they see them.
Yes,
and they all go crazy, and then
she says it again, like, see?
Well, and then isn't there like a voiceover at the end where he gets cast in a Gus Van Sant movie or something? Or
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so he ends up, because that's his whole thing. He's worried that doing this modeling isn't advancing his career as quickly as he'd like, but Samantha knows the plan and keeps him on it, and he is able to get a role. So that was a big deal. And as you mentioned earlier, Miranda struggling with work and single motherhood. We see that her baby is spending more and more time with the nanny, and as like she comes home late at night, either the kid is already asleep, or if the kid is up and the nanny leaves, the kid's crying like crazy because the kid's more attached to the nanny than he is to his own mother. One of the things I found interesting was when she went in to talk to her boss about her situation, being a a lawyer as she is. Didn't she say that she was going to go down to 50 hours a week?
Yeah.
And she's like,
we'll
no,
cut
55.
you down to 50 hours.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you, because she's got to be working probably 70.
Well, it sounds like what Pete's going through. He's got his job's not being nice to him right now, so it's
it's a job. Yeah.
He is a career-driven, money-hungry person.
Pete it has always been our Miranda. There's no.
And then I come home and and then I do podcasts. So it's like if you add that.
So the awkward dinner and the cab ride is all setting up towards the end of this episode. And so what Kim told me is that since Mr. Big is out of the picture at the moment and he's not in town, that Carrie's been dating a bunch of guys because she's looking for a relationship. And so it's tough on her because, she has the person that she does want, but she's been dating all these guys. And now this burger guy is like pretty good.
Yep.
But then the episode ends where he leaves this Post-it note and it says, "I'm sorry, I can't, don't hate me."
Right.
And so he breaks up with her with a Post-it note. He doesn't want to be the bad guy, but that's a pretty terrible way to go about it.
Yep.
And I think that's often the case where guys, when they don't want to be the bad guy, they often come off worse because they just do something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So that really was a big sting for Carrie because she was putting a lot of time into this one and, trying to make it work. And then to have it go off in that callous way at the end was quite hard for her.
Well, and it's such a 180 turn because, the evening before,
right, because it looked like they were going to get back together, right?
Right, he shows up at her house with pink carnations because that was something that was brought up at that dinner earlier, how she thought pink carnations were going to make a comeback. So he comes by with pink carnations. She tells him the little story of the guy with the coconut, and it just seemed like everything was going to go great. And then she wakes up in the morning and he's gone, and there's this Post-it note on her computer screen.
Right.
And it's like, how does that turn that quickly?
Correct.
And none of us would ever see Ron Livingston again.
Maybe that's why his career flamed out, because he's did something really stupid. Well, I guess he didn't really flame out, but whatever.
No.
Not in stuff that we've seen.
So that leads us into the next episode then. A Post-it always sticks twice. Is
episode 7. So when Kim picked it, she wanted the episode with the Post-it. That's what she remembered.
Mm-hmm.
So when we looked it up, though, she realized that the next episode is actually called The Post-it Sticks Twice. So that's why we ended up watching 2, which is kind of what we normally do anyway. So it was good to put these 2 back to back.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
This is now then going to be the fallout of that. And so they all go out to this nightclub. And the first thing I got for this one is this nightclub is called Bed.
Yes.
And I just thought this just looks like a nightmare. Oh my God, this place looks not like a place I'd like to be myself.
I thought it looked fantastic.
As you know how much I love clubs.
Let's go.
And again, I haven't watched, every season of this, but this episode to me kind of is a callback to the earlier ones that I watched before watching these, where it's always just out and about, we're having fun, out on the town for some craziness.
Right.
So this episode, there's a lot of fun things that do happen, a lot of little funny lines. And so this one was, a lot more fun as far as, I was concerned anyway.
One of the fun things that I had right away is, so when they get to this place, Miranda goes to talk to a guy on a bed, because it's a place full of beds.
Right.
And I thought he looked exactly like Mike Lookinland, who is the actor who played Bobby Brady. Like as a grown-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then, so that got me because I love the Brady Bunch. But then right after I said that out loud, he looks like Mike Lookinland. He goes, hi, my name is Peter. And I thought that
Oh
was really
yeah,
funny.
his name. Yeah,
Because
Oh.
he's not Bobby, but still he had a Brady brother name, which
sure.
stood out to me.
Well, and one of the things I found funny about this is, of course, Miranda in the earlier episode, she was, feeling bad because she wasn't spending time with her son, and Carrie, of course, is feeling awful because she had this horrible breakup, and so she wants her friends, all four of them, to go out and hit the town because she needs to get over this horrible breakup. And so she calls Miranda, says, "Hey, you need to come out." She keeps invoking the Post-it throughout the episode just to get her way. So if her friends didn't want to do something, so Miranda, of course, the beautiful part in this episode for her is that she was able to fit into her skinny jeans, which I think she said she hadn't been able to wear since 1995 or something.
Right.
So she is feeling particularly good about herself and sassy because she was able to fit into these jeans, which she credited with working 80 hours a week and not being able to eat and everything like that. So she was kind of saying, like, things happen for a reason. And the reason was just so she could fit into her jeans once again. So it was nice because after an episode where she was feeling so down, this was just a little pick me up for her.
Yes. One of the things I noticed too about this is just the datedness of this episode because they were using disposable cameras.
Yep.
And Samantha's job as a publicist was all about getting this guy on TRL on MTV, which, I mean, that pretty much dates the time period of it right there, big time. So,
well, and everything's a flip phone.
oh yeah,
There's no smartphones yet, because that was one thing that my wife mentioned when we were watching the episode before, where you're all these people on jury duty are sitting around, and she's like, "Why isn't anybody on their phone?" It's like, well, there aren't smartphones, and at least when I went in for jury duty, I had to surrender my phone. So,
you've had to go in.
You had to go jury duty.
I was called in, and it was just for one day, and we actually never got a case called. So it was just the whole jury pool sat in the courthouse for, I don't know, 3-4 hours.
I've received the letter where I had to call in every morning, not knowing what was going to happen, and never got called in, thankfully. So
you didn't
have to. I never got called back again, so I don't know if it was. I don't know, but yeah,
you didn't get to send anybody to the chair. That's
no. I was looking forward to it, Pete. I certainly was. So
that's probably a good way to get out of it. If you show up and you just stand up in the middle of something and shout out, "Give him the chair!"
Yeah, you might be held in contempt for that one. That
okay.
might just.
I won't do that then.
Be an issue there. Where was I at on this? Sorry, I had a train. Oh, that was the one thing I was going to bring up. So earlier in the episode, when it's still daytime before they go out to this club at night, at least once an episode, I will think to myself, what the hell is Carrie wearing? So she is wearing a see-through blouse, and you can see the pink bra underneath it, but the blouse hangs down very far, and I think she was wearing super short shorts, but they're also cargo shorts. Mm-hmm. So the side pockets were extra long, so there were just like two saddlebags hanging down from beneath this.
I didn't notice this at all.
Clear shirt.
I did notice that, yes.
It looked like old man balls, like hanging down below this shirt. It was just, I don't know. Some of the things that she wears are so.
She does have a unique style.
So strange, so very, very strange. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up.
So they're out having fun, and they want to, get over it and everything. And what does that lead to?
The bar and
but they end up smoking. They're getting high, and they want to get high.
Mm-hmm.
And so that leads to the end of the episode again, where I thought the ending was kind of funny because they get like busted by this cop,
right?
But they tell him the Post-it story, and he says that's not true,
right?
And he can't even believe it. And then he actually lets her go because that because of that story. So I thought that was pretty funny how even he empathized.
Well,
with
I
it.
thought it was great. He goes, "That can't be true," and she takes it out of her purse and shoves
Oh.
it. 'Cause she's in the back seat of the cop car at this point, and she has it ready to go. She slaps it up on the window and shows it to him. And one of the great lines I thought of this episode was that so he empathizes and he says, "Well, I'll give you a ticket for something or whatever." And they're like, "Oh, you can't do that or whatever." And he goes, "I'm sorry, I just can't." It was basically the same thing that was on the poster.
Right.
"I'm sorry, I just can't," or whatever. It was just, and he says it so deadpan, and it was great. So I thought that was a very fun episode.
Yeah, so it became the day she got arrested for smoking a doobie. That could have been the title instead. And it was funny because, you go out, the whole point was to go out and reclaim your dignity after feeling, embarrassed and like just a terrible thing. But especially in a sitcom, but also in real life, where you do a bunch of dumb stuff in that and trying and you end up doing something even worse. And so, of course, that's how it has to end.
Been there.
Been there.
But in a way, she's also kind of vindicated by the cop, too. So,
yes.
one of the things that I had about this, too, was, and I asked him about this, and I guess it was more in my head, but I thought it was interesting to think about the ages of the women here, because the type of show this was, where they're like just constantly going out and having fun and like all that kind of stuff, I would totally think of that as like something you do in your 20s.
Yeah.
And they're all in their late 30s, or in Samantha's case, almost 50, actually. And they're still living that life. But Kim didn't think that was weird. She said part of it is Kim Cattrall's job as a publicist. So they have all these hookups, and that's what she wants to do. But they're all single. And I said, so if you were single, you would do this kind of stuff? Because she hates clubs like I do.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, yeah, I guess I would still go out. If I was looking for someone, you got to go out and do things and find them. So I what I feel like is you would have, if they made the show today, I think there would be a big conflict between like generations. Like the Gen Zs or the millennial 20s would look at these ladies like, what are you doing here? You're so old and you don't belong here. And I feel like that would be the show more. Okay. But they don't really get into that back then. So I just thought it was interesting to think about the ages, and they seem a little older than what you'd think for this kind of show.
I don't know if they ever highlighted it, but did they ever, I guess I don't know, you guys probably don't know this either. Did they ever highlight the age difference between Samantha and the other three? So. I think they're supposed to be all kind of right around the same age, right?
I know. I'm just saying.
But I did that. I looked that up too when I started watching it, because I think they were like 30. The younger three were like 31 when they started the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Kim was 41.
And then the other thing too is back then you wouldn't have had any of the dating apps and all of that kind of stuff either. Mm-hmm. So if you want to meet, you got to get out and you got to get out and go out. Yep.
Right.
Now, if you're single, and you're probably going to go on dating apps and go out on actual dates. But it is fun to see this. It's actually what it just reminded me of as I was saying all this. It's like the Golden Girls. They're not as old as the Golden Girls, but they're this tight knit group of friends who all are single and in common and go out and just have fun.
Yeah.
And if they never find their men, they might end up together just like the Golden Girls. So,
well, is that where it's going in this new series, Pete?
Well, there's one that's not on the show. I think it's the older one. Kim Cattrall.
Oh, she's not on it at all?
No.
Right. That's correct. That's
weird. There were some differences towards the end of the original run of the series where Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall were kind of at each other a little bit, and the other two sided more with Sarah Jessica Parker. And actually, by the end of this series, Sarah Jessica Parker was like a executive producer and producer on the show. She was, more in control of it. And so I think that might be one of the reasons that.
I guess I was not aware of that.
Yeah. So she is.
So what about the new show, Pete? Anything that you noticed that you can Did you
I
say
don't
you just
know.
watched the first one, or have
We
you
just watched the first episode,
Okay.
and it didn't really. I don't know. None of these episodes really sucked me in the way that like Freaks and Geeks did. But it was kind of more of the same. I think that their age really shows, and it should. Except you can tell they've definitely had work done when you watch it. But I don't know. If you're a fan of the show, you'd probably enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So, Courtney took 2 different online quizzes to figure out which one of the 4 girls that she
really?
most closely aligns with. So both the quizzes she took, I think one was a BuzzFeed and one was a Cosmo. She came in as a Charlotte with Carrie tendencies. And I would tend to agree with that.
I was gonna say Carrie or maybe a little Samantha.
Ooh, no, very little Samantha.
Wow.
No. I don't know. Well, she's
well, she's a fun-loving gal.
That's what I mean. She'll like speak her mind, and
yep.
So I guess that's what I'm thinking.
The romance, wanting the husband, the kids,
right?
The white picket fence. That's more up Courtney's alley.
Well, that does sound like a pretty good description.
So, I just wanted to add that in there. I do have some fun facts if we have time for those.
You're stealing my bit.
I am stealing Pete's bit because I didn't have a whole.
Do you have some too, Pete, or have you already stated them?
No, the ones I looked up. The most fun fact was their addresses don't really exist. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez, that really blows me away. Anyway, Go on, Gifford.
So this was the first cable show to win an Emmy for Best Comedy Series. It won the Best Comedy Series in 2001. It also, throughout the run of the show, won 7 Emmys in total. Some of those were for ensemble cast or Best Actress in a Comedy.
This started in 98, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, this really was one of the first, like, big HBO shows that, like, became more mainstream that a lot of people watched. I mean,
probably.
Yep. Yeah. Not long, like The Sopranos and Curb Your Enthusiasm. I think they both came a year or two after this. So
Curb would have been like 2000, right?
Yeah. Well, I know that because we talked about it.
Yep. And it's also the first cable show to win a Golden Globe for Best Comedy Series. It won it in 99, 2000, and 2001. So I'm assuming
this was a game-changing show.
Yeah. One of the actresses considered for the role of Carrie was Carrie Ann Moss. Most people would know her as Trinity from the Matrix trilogy.
Oh, that doesn't seem.
And then the one that I found most interesting, do you guys know what Mr. Big's name is?
I don't know. I didn't know if they even ever said what it was.
So in the last episode of season 6, so season 6, episode 20, his name pops up on Carrie's phone and it rings and she looks down and his name is John.
Big
and
John.
I think it was also brought up in one of the movies. So, but they did not.
Oh, yes, of course, there's the movies too, which she loved the movies as well.
So they did not, that was kind of a big reveal to have it. I think it was like at the end of the last episode of the run. So,
yeah, because this is the last season that we watched these, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Until the new reboot.
That is correct.
That all your fun facts?
Those are my fun facts.
All right. Well, a little more fun here. We thought it would be fun to take a page out of the Friends playbook where Ross had his list of 5 celebrities that he could sleep with.
And it was laminated.
And so, fitting in with the theme, Sex in the City and all that stuff, we asked our wives to give us their list of 5. And who they would take. And I don't know about you guys, but before I even finished asking Kim this question, she spat out the first name. It was something.
Wow.
Right? Oh, yeah, it took Courtney not very long to put this list together. And then she refined it a little bit. I know that one guy did get replaced. But I think, honestly, it got that
Was it
one
you?
guy got moved over to a different list that we're going to be having for next week.
Oh,
Yeah, that actually is the same thing with me. The next week list, my wife did make a edit on that one as well, but not this one. All right, so that name, I'll just go first here since it's her episode. That name that she threw out so quickly was Ryan Reynolds. Who I love. He's great. So I get it.
He's on my list as well.
And well, and his wife maybe would be on my list. So
sure. Yeah.
The next one is one that I knew big time. And we love this guy from Not Another Teen Movie. She loves Chris Evans. She's been in love with him forever.
Yeah.
Oh, Captain America.
Captain America didn't hurt that cause.
No, it certainly didn't.
And then speaking of Marvel, she went to Chris Hemsworth for her next one.
Yep.
A lot of Marvel Chris's on the list.
And then she had George Clooney. She just said he's a staple. And I was like, aren't you going to say George Clooney? And then she said yes. So, and then her fourth one is another guy she just loves, but it's more for his voice. She loves Will Arnett.
Yeah.
She's like, he's not ugly or anything, but she loves his voice, and she'll watch almost anything that he is in just for that alone. So and he's pretty awesome. I mean, I love her list. These are awesome guys.
Watching the Lego Batman movie, then I'm assuming.
Actually, you know what? I don't know if she ever watched that one.
Oh, because that's just his voice. You know.
I know. Makes sense. We did watch. So there was a show on Netflix called Flaked, and it was set in Santa Monica, and it came out like right around the time where we went to California, and we stayed in Santa Monica, and we rode up the Pacific Highway. And it was this really fun short series that he was in, and it went away very quickly. And now I just saw there's a new series that he's in called Murderville, which I'm not sure what it's about or if it's any good, but we'll probably give that a try.
It is a improv show. So they have
improv?
Yeah, so they have a cast.
Have you watched any of it?
No, but I listened to their podcast, the Smartless podcast. Will Arnett and Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes. So he's talked about it.
Speaking of Jason Bateman, stay tuned.
Okay, then.
Next
week. So it's an improv show. I haven't watched it yet, but it sounds really good. So you have this cast, and they bring in a celebrity to be on the show. So everybody else knows what's going on except the celebrity. And they, from what I can tell from listening to descriptions, that celebrity has to try to catch on to what is happening.
All right. Well, we will. I'm sure we'll be giving that a try because I think it's on Netflix. I love him too. She watched a lot of Arrested Development, but I think pretty much just because of him. All right. I'm going to throw it over to Pete.
All right. I'm going to lead it off with a current NFL head coach. This is somebody. McVay? No, it's not even Sean McVay.
Oh God, is it the Packer coach?
No, it is not.
I'll shut up.
It's actually this is one that she has had on her list for a really long time, notwithstanding the age, because this person has aged a little bit. A former Vikings defensive coordinator. And that was where it all started. She loves Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that. Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
I've heard that before.
A lot of people might be surprised by that, but, I don't know. It makes sense. I think he's a good-looking dude.
Yeah, but he's a sports guy. It's more surprising that, to know him that well.
I got two more sports guys coming up here.
Well, I don't think she knows him as well as she'd like. Let's put it that way.
The next one is one that she absolutely loved, and she would watch Twins games with me all the time. Anytime he pitched, she just had a huge thing for Johan Santana.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a really cool guy.
Yep. Yes, he is. Number 3 is a more nationally known one that might make more sense. A world famous athlete, David Beckham.
Interesting.
Number 2, we're moving away now from sports and moving into movies. And then we'll do a TV one. Number 2 on the list is The Rock, She loves The Rock. Anything with The Rock in it is great. Dwayne Johnson.
She'd like
Number
to smell what he's cooking.
You could say that. And number 1 is a sleeper pick, one that you may not have heard of.
You mean
but
sleep
if
with
you
pick?
There you go. If you've seen him, you probably would say, "Hey, I know that guy." Shamar Moore is his name. Have you heard that name?
Yep.
Okay.
What's he in?
He is currently in a TV show called SWAT. He was in Young and the Restless for a while and on Criminal Minds.
Oh yeah, he's more of a TV guy. Yeah,
He's a TV guy.
Yep.
Yes.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
All right.
Very, very good looking man.
Always, yes.
I'm looking him up right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's handsome.
Do you need a little break here, Brad?
I can see it.
He's got the bald head and the goatee. I think I know him from The Young and the Restless. Probably, just not that I watched it, but just clips.
Sure.
Right. Was he on it? Like, how? I guess I don't know how old he is. Was he on it like for a long time ago?
I think he was on it for a while. Yeah, I think he was. I'd have to look it up.
I don't know
the exact.
If he was on Days of Our Lives, then I would definitely know him.
Yes. All right.
So Courtney's list, 3 of her 5 are in the sporting world.
Wow, you guys.
And she explains this as a boy mom. Her dad and her brother were in sports. I like sports. It's her way of kind of finding interest in things that I like and the boys like
by liking these guys.
Yes. Yes. So that's how she comes into it. So her number 5.
Before you say anything,
Yeah.
Can I make a prediction here? Does she have any hockey guys on the list?
There is one.
Okay.
There is one.
All right.
So
here we go on.
Her number 5 is Howie Long.
Oh my God.
She loves Howie Long, and she's always liked Howie Long.
Yeah, Jenny used to. She doesn't talk about him lately,
wow.
But she certainly used to.
That is an unexpected one.
Yep, it's always unexpected for me too. If I'm watching the morning, the Sunday morning pregame shows, she's like, "Ooh, where's Howie?" I'm like, she's on Fox. I'm not watching that right now. Number 4, Taylor Lautner. She was Team Jacob all the way, not Edward. She's a big fan of that one. Here's your hockey guy, Pete. Mr. Kevin Fiala, wild player.
Really?
Hails from Switzerland, I believe. And that's the other thing. She likes to like guys on Minnesota teams because, of course, I watch Minnesota teams, but she feels like she has a higher chance of running into them.
Yep. That's just like in Friends. You got to play the percentages.
Play the percentages.
That's why he took off Isabella Rossellini.
Right, exactly. Number 2 on her list, long mainstay on her list, Jay Hernandez. And she really liked him from Crazy Beautiful. Was the first movie where she
I've seen that. Okay, then is that like all I would know him from? Probably.
He's the new Magnum PI, if you've ever seen.
Oh yes,
but I did see that movie, and so I think I can picture him. It's like he's bald, right? Or I mean, he shaved his head, or is really short.
Shaves his head. Yeah, I don't think he's bald.
Okay,
but, not in Magnum.
He keeps her short there.
Okay.
And then her number 1 with a bullet is Mr. Eric Decker.
Oh,
he's
fetching guy too.
We went to a Gopher football game. I don't know how many years back, but Decker was already in the NFL, and she was sure that he was going to be at the game. Like he would be on the sideline somewhere, or maybe she'd run into him in the concourse or something. Like she was, and then of course he had a television show.
Well, yeah, with his wife Jesse James, and they became reality stars and the whole thing.
So she was watching that, all the time. So yes, Mr. Eric Decker would be number 1 on her list.
All right, so we had 0 repeats on those 3 lists. That's interesting too.
Wow.
So at least the girls don't get in a big fight, if they happen to run into one of their guys.
Well, and the one that you mentioned she was Team Jacob. An honorable mention for my wife for sure would be Robert Pattinson. She's Team Edward all the way.
Is she looking forward to the Batman that's coming out?
I don't know if she is, but my son sure is.
Yeah. I think it'll be good.
All right, we're going to wrap this up then. Since we talked about a TV show, we just asked them what some of their all-time favorite TV shows were.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll wrap it up with that. So I got Kim's list here in chronological order. The earliest show she remembered watching all the time was MASH. One of those shows that I never got into, but she did. In the 80s, she watched Moonlighting a lot, as well as Elf. And I loved Elf too.
I did too.
Then we get into the 90s, and it started with 90210 and Mad About You and Friends. And most recently, she was a huge fan of Breaking Bad. She's watched that at least twice, maybe 3 times. I don't know. She loved Breaking Bad. And then she's gotten into some of the reality shows, but the 2 that she will always watch are The Real Housewives and Vanderpump Rules. Specifically, The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Orange County, I think, are the 2 that she watches. And when we went on that trip to California, we actually went to the restaurant from the show Vanderpump Rules and got waited on by a guy from that show. And that was one of the greatest nights, I think, of her life. And we got pictures with him, and there was this car from the show parked outside. I mean, it was really cool that it all worked out like that.
Right.
So that was awesome. And then her 2 newest favorite shows are Schitt's Creek, which we watched twice in a row during the pandemic. I think she's watched it 3 times now. And Ted Lasso. We just every week that would come out, it was like could not wait to watch Ted Lasso again. So that takes us from the 70s to today.
Awesome.
Okay, back to you, Pete.
All right. So I said, Jenny, give me a list of your top 5 TV shows. And she started off on the first line. She just said, just give me the whole Friday night lineup from the 1980s. That includes The Dukes of Hazzard, Dallas, and Falcon Crest, and put them all on the same line.
Just like Bill.
Yeah.
She's pretty young for that.
Yeah, well, she loved those shows. I hated Falcon Crest. I just never got into that. I never liked the characters. I remember when it came on, I was like, ugh. But she loved it. Then she has Friends, which we can all agree is worthy of any of these lists.
Mm-hmm.
Then she has the entire CSI series. She's not so much into the CSI Miami, but more so the original CSI Las Vegas and CSI New York, and now she's getting into the new CSI Las Vegas as well. Cosby Show, which we've talked about on the show, Full House, and Who's the Boss. She also wanted me to put on the list.
Love Who's the Boss.
Follow-up question. So did she watch the new Full House seasons?
Fuller House?
No,
or does she not care for those?
Never really got into those. She might have watched an episode or 2, but not regularly.
Okay.
Courtney watched them.
We watched a couple, and I think my daughter might have watched a lot of them, but yeah, we didn't get very far with that. I mean, I was never a Full House fan anyway. I mean, I would watch it, but it was kind of like hate watching.
Right.
This is actually the second, indirectly in this case, but this is the second reference to Bob Saget in this episode, which is there's Bob Saget news that came out today. Did you hear that?
No.
That he supposedly hit his head and then went to sleep and just
really.
That's how he died. That's what they're saying.
That he needed to have it go checked out, and that's what I read. Yeah.
Oh, that's
somehow he hit his head. Probably banged it on the headboard of his hotel room, but somehow. No, that's what it said. That's what they. I'm not.
That's too bad.
I didn't think you'd be making a joke right there. So
if that's no.
You can understand how it sounded.
Right.
Yeah. The article that I read said that he likely banged his head on the headboard, like as he plopped down into bed or something, and then you're right. You'd think if he banged it against the headboard that way, he would at least be with somebody. But you never know. I don't know.
I know. Yeah, that's what I know.
Rest in peace, Mr. Tanner.
Go ahead and finish it off, Kiff.
All right.
Take us home.
Well, I got a few honorable mentions here. Of course, anything on HGTV. Courtney will spend an entire weekend just watching Love It or List It, or just about anything on HGTV. From her childhood, Golden Girls and the Carol Burnett Show ranked high on her list.
Carol Burnett Show, what a great choice.
Yeah. Sopranos, SNL, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, And then Law and Order and Law and Order SVU, not Criminal Intent, she has written down here.
Oh, okay.
So her top 5, number 5, CBS Sunday Morning. She's got it set up to record every Sunday.
What?
She
With Charles
loves that
Kuralt?
show. Yep.
That's like, what? Oh, okay.
Well, and again, when I came down to record, she was watching Teen Moms on MTV. So she watches a lot of junk, but she definitely wanted to add this in here so it's a little more respect.
Well, this is the episode where we're keeping it classy, so.
Yes.
Yes.
Number 4 on her list, Breaking Bad, and she was the one who got me to watch it.
Same with me. She kept telling me over and over, and I'm like, oh, that's too many. I can't invest in that. And then I realized it wasn't as many episodes as I thought.
Yep.
And finally, I watched it, and she was totally right. Kim, you were totally right.
Yes.
As you already know.
Courtney was as well. I think I've watched it twice now at least.
Yeah.
Number 3 on her list, Big Bang Theory. It's just a nice, easy show to have on, give some nice laughs, and she'll rewatch it sporadically on, TNT or whatever it happens to be on in the evenings. Number 2 is Friends. Same thing here. She'll watch that back whenever it happens to be on. She's not a fan of the whole Emily storyline, which I think we can all agree with.
It had its moments, but
right.
It was good. It was not a bad storyline.
Then her number 1 is Grey's Anatomy. She watched it from the time it's come out. She's rewatched it since. So that is her number 1 on the list, Grey's Anatomy.
All right.
Well,
that was
Gifford.
Fun.
Yeah.
Gifford. You know who's on my Hall Pass list?
I'm guessing any of the boys from Preacher Row.
You're right. Exactly.
I know you too well, Pete.
Yes. Especially that drummer.
Or maybe I just know how the show wraps up every week. I don't know.
That's right. Something like that.
All right. Well, great choice, Kim. Enjoy the episode.
Thanks,
yes.
I hope we did okay for you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
No one's here to comfort me. Sorry for what I have done. Sorry that your song is gone. 7 steps and it will be my last. Hands tied, tell me on my back. I turn and I look to you. I'm scared, but there's nothing I can do.